Here comes the airplane.
And what are you doing?
Shh, I'm trying to feed this Venus flytrap. I think he's shy.
Yeah, I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah it is. A Venus flytrap is a carnivorous plant, which means it eats meat. I'm gonna take such good care of this plant.
Okay, before you do that, why don't we go learn a little bit more about carnivorous plants and make sure we're doing everything right.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's a good idea. Let's go. Hey everyone, it's Anne over at Como Park Zoo and Conservatory. Sounds like I have more learning to do about carnivorous plants. Luckily, I'm over at the Children's Gallery and we have a collection of these amazing plants to take a look at. Carnivorous plants eat meat, but they don't eat pepperoni, they eat bugs. That's because in the places where they live, the soil doesn't have a lot of nutrients in it. So instead, they have to get that nutrition in another way, eating bugs. They have special leaves that help them trap those bugs. Let's take a closer look at those different types of traps and meet some of Como's amazing plants. The first type of trap we're talking about today is the snap trap, the trap that most everyone thinks of when they think of carnivorous plants. The Venus flytrap is probably the most popular of the carnivorous plants, but don't worry, he stays pretty humble despite that. Snap traps are made from leaves, like all carnivorous plant traps, but they look the most like a mouth. However, the trap is less like a mouth and more like a stomach. I can see what looks like little teeth here, but those are something called cilia. They don't chew food like teeth. Instead, they help keep food inside the trap once it closes. Once an insect crawls inside, they move little trigger hairs, which tells the trap to close. And as they hit more trigger hairs trying to escape, the trap seals shut and then releases digestive juices, similar to the juices in our stomach that break down food. Those juices dissolve the bug and release nutrients, which the leaf then absorbs. Each trap can be used 3 or 4 times before it has expended all of its energy and the leaf dies, which is another reason those special trigger hairs are so important. They help the Venus flytrap conserve energy. If I'm a Venus flytrap, I don't want to spend any energy closing on something that I can't eat, like a raindrop or a leaf. So I rely on my trigger hairs to tell me that something is actually alive and moving on my traps before I close them. They're sort of like fancy eyelashes. When something touches your eyelash, your eyes close. The same thing happens with the trigger hair. When something touches a trigger hair, the trap closes as well. Our next type of trap is the pitfall trap. These plants form a pitcher shape to trap bugs. Either a whole leaf will curl around itself, or a leaf will grow a vine and then grow the pitcher right at the end. The pitchers are colorful to look like a flower, and the rims have nectar on them. Both of those lure bugs in. The edges are usually slippery, so when a bug lands on the side, it'll fall inside. And once a bug's inside, it's game over. The walls of the pitcher are waxy and slippery, so the bug can't climb out. And the space is usually too narrow for the bug to fly out either. Eventually, the bug gets exhausted trying to escape and falls to the bottom where the digestive juices are. The bug drowns and the plant digests the bug, releasing nutrients that help the plant grow. If I'm a pitcher plant, it's really important that my pitcher stays open and available to catch bugs and doesn't fill with rainwater. Some pitcher plants have little tiny holes to drain that rainwater out, and some of them have little hats to help keep the rainwater out. Our final trap we're talking about today is the fly paper trap. These plants use a special technique to catch bugs: glue. The leaves are covered in small stalks or tentacles, and those stalks release a sticky-looking glue. It kind of looks like water, and that water brings bugs in for a drink. But once they touch that glue, they are stuck. The bug wiggles and tries to get loose, but the plant just releases more glue and the bug gets more and more stuck. Once the bug dies of exhaustion, the plant releases other juices, which then dissolves the bug and it can absorb the nutrients. The plant works just like a glue stick. Anything that touches it gets stuck. Man, really stuck on there. Here at Como, we have 2 different examples of this trap, the butterwort and sundew. That's because there are 2 different types of fly paper traps, passive and active. Passive plants don't move. They just hang around waiting for food to come to them, kind of like the pitcher plants. The butterwort is an example of that. This little plant hangs around waiting for bugs to get stuck to its leaves. It releases more glue to help trap them, but that's about it. Compare the butterwort to the sundew, an active flypaper trap. Sundews move to help trap prey, sort of like the Venus flytrap. When an insect lands on their tentacles looking for a drink, the tentacles move to trap the bug with even more glue. Sometimes the rest of the leaf even curls up. If I'm a sundew and I need to use energy to move my leaves, I need to make sure that's worth the effort. A bug has no chance if it's surrounded by little glue sticks. We learned some amazing things about carnivorous plants today. They use different types of traps to catch bugs so they can live in harsh conditions. Next time you visit Como, I hope you'll stop by the Children's Gallery and take a close look at these plants in person.
And what are you doing? We just learned that they only eat bugs.
Oh yeah, I remember. This one's for me. See you next time.